2013 NCAA Division III Men's and Women's Swimming and Diving Championship is going to kick off on Wednesday, and that's going to be in Shenandoah, Texas. And I'm joined today by head diving coach Jason Glorius, head swimming coach Gregg Parini, and we're going to talk about the Big Red as we enter this weekend. Now, Coach Parini, I want to start off with you, and let's talk a little bit about this women's team. You've got 17 swimmers heading into the meet. It's a real good number, one of the highest. And I feel like this is a team that's been building over the last few years, really building to maybe a big moment. How do you feel about this year's team?
Well, I think on paper, going into the season, there were a lot of question marks about this team, and we had major graduation losses last year, and people like Hillary Callan and Brenna Broaddus leaving. But at the same time, we recognized that there was a lot of potential with the group. Coaching staff went out, and I think we challenged this group to come together and to in many ways, especially the senior class, reinvent themselves, see if they could take their swimming to a little bit higher level performance, raise their expectations of themselves. And I think it's been a good year for us. I think there's been a lot of surprises this year, but I think the senior class gets the lion's share of the credit for the good work that they've done. They've brought the underclassmen along nicely. I think they've answered the bell time and time again throughout the year. I think the conference win for us was quite big. I mean, Kenyon was ranked ahead of us throughout the entire year. On paper, they look stronger than we did. So for us to come out of Canton with the conference championship, I think was a big confidence booster for us as we head down towards nationals. This is arguably one of the more cohesive focus groups that we've had in a long time on the women's side. And again, I just give all the credit to the senior class for having done such a good job bringing them together.
Now, one of those seniors is Alyssa Swanson. I believe 17-time All-American, has shown up real big. I know she battled some injuries last year during nationals. How's her health? How is she mentally heading into this last meet?
Well, I think like a lot of athletes who are in many ways, she had a very serious back injury last year, and her future in swimming was certainly in question. And I think like a lot of athletes who have to confront, I think the mortality of their athletic career, I think she brought a new appreciation and understanding into her season this year. So I think she's swimming a lot more in a more relaxed way this year. I think she feels lucky and fortunate just to be out there. It's an injury that's ongoing. We have to keep working with it throughout the season, but I think she's performed at a pretty high level. We've moved her into some new events. She swam the 1650 this year. Took her out of the sprints and moved her towards distance simply because her injury, prohibited from her training the way she has in the past. But I think it's a credit to her talent and commitment level that she's now seated as one of the top 8, milers in the country after having been a top 800 freestyler in the country for the last few years.
That's quite an accomplishment. Coach Glorius, we're sending 3 divers to nationals, in Kelly Frazier, Ben Lewis, and Gabe Dixon. This year was a little bit different, the qualification process. There was a regional meet. Can you talk a little bit about that experience that they went through? Did you like it? And what do you think about your 3 divers heading to Texas?
First, speaking to the qualification meet, I think it was a great step. It's fantastic the NCAA made the commitment to move to such a process because it rewards the divers who are diving well now, and there's not such a mysterious format used to select who qualifies to the meet. So as far as we're concerned specifically, I think it worked out well. We're sending 2 guys and a woman there, and I think it's going to help them once they get to the national meet because they've already been in a pressure cooker trying to get there. So once we get there, hopefully the nerves will be steadied a little bit and it'll help them perform better. But overall, the whole process of going to a qualification meet will allow the NCAA Championship meet to be a cleaner meet and you see a lot higher scores probably.
I like your term there, Jason, pressure cooker. Diving has played a pretty major role, especially on the men's side for us over the last 2 years. Do you think your freshmen yet? I know Gabe understands, but do you think your freshmen get it yet? How tough that can be at that moment?
It is certainly difficult, and that's what separates a good diver from a great diver. The great divers are the ones that can do it when the lights are on. And I think we've been building up to this the entire season. I certainly let them know what it's going to be like at the end of the season, in our first meeting of the year, but they don't really get a taste of it until the conference meet. And through their performances at the conference meet, I'm encouraged that they'll be able to step up and perform well at nationals.
And now, Coach Parini, talk about the men's team a little bit. We've had some great success over the last 2 years, and I know you're not one to really look back much on that. Talk about this 2013 Big Red men's team.
Well, I think the men early on in the year, even right after last year's nationals, told us that this was going to be a unique year. They've been presented with some really unique and I think some fairly significant challenges throughout the year. It's been a real challenging year. I think where the last couple of years, things have been relatively easy for us in and outside the pool. This year presented some really significant challenges, and to their credit, they've come together and done well in handling those. It's a talented team. It's led by Quinn Bartlett on the swimming end of things, Gabe Dixon on the diving end of things, and Quinn's been I think the penultimate when it comes to the type of student athlete that you're looking for. He's highly committed, trains on a year-round basis. He's a bit undersized, but what he lacks in size, he makes up for in heart and commitment and a strong work ethic. And so, I don't think there's a clear favorite going into this year's nationals. I think one of any 6 teams could win it. It's going to depend on who has the strongest meet. And so it's going to be a fun meet to be a part of. It's going to be very exciting. I think it's going to go down to the last night. There's 8 sessions of swimming at the meet, and I think it's going to go down to the last session. And much like Knoxville, there's going to be a lot of great stories to be written.
Now, you mentioned that. I guess the last 2 years it has been a bit of a 2-team race in us and Kenyon. That's changed a little bit. How does that affect your planning for the meet and just working through all of that?
Well, the new rules and the new selection process has reduced the number of individuals that are invited to the meet every year, and the national committee, the rules committee, decided that they wanted to put a greater emphasis on getting relays to the meet, and so it's in some ways it's made it more challenging to dominate a meet. I think it's brought the top of the field back to the pack a little bit. That's not to say that the pack isn't strong. The pack is really, really strong, but it's really put a big emphasis on our getting the kids ready to qualify individually, get them ready to go individually, get as many kids to the meet. We're only bringing 14 swimmers. We've got the 2 divers going. That's comparable to what we've done in years past. But at the same time, it's just going to get down to who swims best at the meet. It's going to get done in the pool.
Now, one last question for you, Coach Glorius. Gregg did a nice job there talking about Quinn and what he's meant to the swimming program and his leadership. I think Gabe's done a lot of the same things for your diving program. Can you speak a little bit about Gabe Dixon?
Gabe has been a joy to coach, and I mean that in every way. He's an excellent influence on the rest of the team, works hard in practice, brings a good attitude every day, and at the end of the day, when Gabe looks back on his career, he's going to have been a part of some special things, that we've accomplished as an entire swimming and diving team. So, it all started with him as far as diving, making an impact. I think he has set the standard by which all other Denison divers will be measured, and he's there when the lights go on. He's the best meet diver I've ever coached, and just a great guy to have around.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Thanks for watching the 2013 Men's and Women's Swimming and Diving Championship preview. You'll be able to follow along on DenisonBigRed.com all week. We'll have recaps every night, photo galleries. You can also watch the meet on NCAA.com. So thanks for Gregg Parini, Jason Glorius. I'm Craig Hicks. Thanks for watching DSN.